The sun was setting. Steve was lost, wandering aimlessly through the dense forest. The shadows grew longer and the air turned colder. He had been exploring a new cave, hoping to find rare minerals and treasures. The deeper he went, the more he lost track of time and direction. Now he couldn't find his way out. Every tunnel looked the same, and panic started to set in. The cave was dark and scary, filled with eerie sounds that echoed through the empty corridors. Steve called out, "Help! Can anyone hear me?" Only the echo answered, bouncing back his own voice, making him feel even more alone. Steve sat down, hugging his knees tightly to his chest, trying to calm his racing heart. He felt a tear roll down his cheek, the weight of his situation sinking in. What if he never saw his friends again? The thought was unbearable, and he felt a deep sense of dread. Suddenly, Steve heard a soft moo. He looked up, startled by the unexpected sound in the quiet surroundings. A cow was peering at him with big, kind eyes. It seemed curious and friendly, a stark contrast to the eerie silence. It nudged Steve's arm with its head, as if to say, "Don't worry, I'm here." The gentle gesture brought a sense of comfort to Steve. Steve felt a little better. At least he wasn't alone. The presence of the cow made the vast world feel a bit smaller and less intimidating. He stood up and the cow started walking. It moved with a purpose, as if it knew exactly where to go. It looked back at Steve, as if asking him to follow. Steve took a deep breath and decided to trust the cow, feeling a newfound sense of hope. Steve followed the cow through the twisting tunnels. The cow always stayed close, leading the way. They walked for what felt like hours. Just when Steve started to lose hope, he saw a light ahead. It was the entrance to the cave. Steve was overjoyed. He ran towards the light, the cow following closely behind. Steve decided to build a small shelter near the cave entrance. He gathered some wood and stone, and with the cow's help, he built a cozy little hut. The cow stayed with him, providing warmth and companionship. Steve felt grateful for the cow's kindness and knew he had made a new friend. They spent the night in the hut, safe and sound. As they sat by the fire, Steve thought about the journey they had shared. The cow had been more than a guide. It had been a true friend. The simple act of building a shelter together had cemented their bond. Steve realized that sometimes the most unexpected friendships can bring the greatest comfort. In the quiet of the night, he knew that he and the cow would face whatever challenges came their way together. The next morning, Steve woke up to the sound of birds chirping. He stepped outside and saw the sun rising, painting the sky with beautiful colors. The cow was grazing nearby, looking content. Steve knew it was time to head back to his village. He thanked the cow once more and started his journey home, feeling a sense of peace and happiness. As he walked, he reflected on the events of the past days. The trials and tribulations had been many, but the friendship he had formed with the cow had made it all worthwhile. Each step felt lighter, each breath deeper. The sun continued to rise, casting a golden glow over the landscape. Steve felt a renewed sense of hope and purpose. He understood now that the journey was not just about survival, but about the connections we make along the way. With a heart full of gratitude, he looked forward to sharing his newfound wisdom with his village. Life, he realized, is about the dawn of new beginnings, the friendships forged in adversity, and the beauty of a new day. And so, with the cow's memory firmly in his heart, Steve walked on, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As Steve reached his village, he was greeted with curious and concerned faces. He gathered his friends and family around the village fire that night, the flames flickering in the cool evening breeze. With a sense of excitement and gratitude, Steve began to recount his adventure. He spoke of the dark cave, the perils he faced, and most importantly, the kind cow that had guided him to safety. His listeners were amazed and deeply touched by the tale. Steve's eyes sparkled with emotion as he described how the cow's simple act of kindness had not only saved him, but also taught him a valuable lesson. As he finished his story, there was a moment of silence, followed by a wave of applause and cheers. The villagers were inspired by Steve's experience. They realized that kindness and friendship were the most valuable treasures in the world. From that day on, Steve's story became a legend in the village. People began to show more kindness to one another, helping those in need and forming stronger bonds within the community. Steve always remembered the cow's lesson, and he made a vow to live by it every day. Just like the cow had helped him, he would always be ready to extend a helping hand to others. And so the village thrived, bound together by the simple yet profound power of kindness. Steve was finally safe outside. The dark, treacherous cave was now behind him, and he could feel the warmth of the sun on his face. He turned to the cow and gave it a big hug. "Thank you," he whispered. "You saved me from the dangers lurking in the shadows." The cow mooed softly and licked Steve's hand, then ambled away. It was a simple gesture, but it meant the world to Steve. Steve realized something important that day. Acts of kindness, no matter how small, can have a profound impact. Even in a world of blocks and monsters, kindness can be found in the most unexpected places. It bridges gaps and builds connections. Always be kind, just like the cow, who showed compassion without expecting anything in return, because you never know who might need your help. Your kindness could be the light in someone's darkest hour.